Welcome to City Talk, where we try to figure out what these people do all day. Here is one of the hardest working men in show business. He's one of the busiest beavers in the history of beavers. Councilman Corey O'Connor, ladies and gentlemen. Corey, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So, Councilman, you within your district is that horrible bridge that collapsed. I bet you've been busy as heck with that.
We have been. I mean, obviously, you don't expect that on a Friday morning. So it really sort of changes your day and focus. But we were lucky, very lucky that everybody was not injured severely. I mean, there were some injuries, but nothing too critical, which is a good sign. But yeah, I mean, that's going to keep us busy. You're looking at whole new types of infrastructure, a year and a half plus of construction. Good news that, we basically got bailed out from the state and got $25 million to fix the problem. So that's something that we don't have to worry about, because when you see bridges, it's always money's the number one concern. So, it's been busy, getting calls from the neighbors, regular concerns, things have changed, garbage pickup to kids drop offs to bus routes. All those things have been up in the air, but we've worked together and got them the best answers we could at the time.
I know the city arranged for a little area so people could look at the devastation, and then they had to take that away because they needed it for the workers. Is there any way to look at it if curiosity seekers, as they say, are still curious?
I mean, there's some places in the woods that, you could be far enough back to see it. The trails down below, you can get to within 100 yards or so. I mean, I would say if you could to avoid it, I mean, it is going to be an active construction zone. And there's probably enough videos online and social media posts that, you really probably have seen the gist of it at this point. It is amazing though, in person. You don't realize how steep that slope is. And I've been driving on that bridge for years. But yeah, you don't realize how steep that is.
So is this an aberration in your point of view, or how worried should we be about the rest of the bridges in the city, or is that just impossible to tell right now because you need a more thorough and comprehensive study?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we'll find out what the actual cause of this was, and that's what the, years of, experience and engineering work and investigations are going to show us. But I think it's a matter of taking action, which, we introduced two bills. One was a transparency bill about our infrastructure, so that we can be upfront and open with the general public, which is what we should be about our infrastructure. And then the other one is a commission bringing experts to the table, taking the politics out of it. We want experts to tell us, what are best practices. So you hire engineers, or not hire, but they're going to be on the committee. You have engineers from across the state, people from PennDOT, construction workers, operating engineers, individuals that actually do bridges for a living, opposed to us looking at, oh, here's a $2,500 fix. Well, that's not how you fix infrastructure. And, for years we've been doing it the same way. This unfortunately opens the door so that we can look at other items. And again, it's a good conversation to have, and to bring experts to the table is really going to just benefit the residents of Pittsburgh more than anybody.
So since we last spoke, there's been a change of administrations, and you're now working with the Gainey administration. How's that going so far?
That's good. I mean, I've obviously worked with him before when he was a state rep, know most of the staff that he's been bringing in. And I think, just to start, and you get a bridge collapse and snowstorms, welcome to the job. So, yeah. We've been able to coordinate with their office. I mean, he was supportive of both bills that I had just mentioned, and we're holding a community meeting, I think, this Thursday. So, getting out in the community, talking to people and understanding the job, it's different than what people think. And it's a very difficult job to have, but he's been out and about in the last, a month and a half now. So he's getting used to it.
Do you still hear, no matter whether you think the plows did a good job or not, do you hear about it every single time it snows? Because somebody bound to not be satisfied, I'm guessing.
Yes. I mean, no matter what, it's, it seems to be there's like 3 or 4 spots that we always sort of miss, or we come back later. And, that system is, I mean, you want to make it perfect, and we'll try to get there as best we can. But there's always going to be a truck is down, a problem that you're not expecting is going to appear. So the best we can do is, we tell the residents, call 311. email our office, call our office, and as soon as we get those messages, we send them to Public Works, and they get right out to those scenes as quick as they can as well. So, it's a system that's just going to be like that for a while because it's imperfect. I mean, there's no way to calculate it perfectly. And all the technology that we have, it's great, it's helpful, but technology makes mistakes too. So, we need to rely on each other when we go through this process. And that's why I don't mind when we get calls from our residents, because it can only help us.
Right. And I understand there's more snow removal equipment on the way, even if it doesn't get here by this winter. You've ordered a bunch. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the bill was amended to maybe 12 pieces of equipment. And I think after so many years, all of our equipment needs redone, whether it's fire trucks, police trucks, EMS vehicles as well. Everybody needs ambulances, things like that. You need to start reloading on, our equipment, because wear and tear in these winters don't help it. And I think the more we invest in that, and we do it strategically, every couple of years, we invest more and more, it's only going to benefit everybody.
Remind us which district you represent and what area that encompasses.
So District 5, there's 10 neighborhoods. I won't name them all, but the Lincoln Place, Squirrel Hill, Greenfield, Hazelwood. So those are the big four. There's obviously more neighborhoods. I live in Swiss Town Park. There's Regent Square. I'm not naming them all, but here I go anyways. So, I mean, it's a great area that I represent. It's very diverse, and we got a lot happening throughout the district.
Yeah. What are people buzzing about besides the snowfall in your district, would you say?
Right now it's getting, requests for paving, things like that, organized. Talking about, the Hazelwood Green site, what that's going to transform into. In Lincoln Place, we got a new deck hockey, trying to get a league started up there, hopefully this spring. In Greenfield, we're getting new lights at Hammer Field. That's a good topic to discuss. In Squirrel Hill, obviously loss of some businesses. So we're trying to revamp that and get the business district back up. But, COVID's been difficult on a lot of small businesses, and we just hope that we can get over that hump at some point.
Yeah, you've been trying to figure out what to do with the Hazelwood Green area for a while, as I recall, but there's some definite plans now, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's up and running. CMU has their, it's ARM. It's a wing of CMU, is basically robotic manufacturing is down there now. CMU just invested in another 6 acres. Pitt just is going to be opening a biochemical lab down there, and that's hundreds of jobs. It's $100+ million facility, so it's starting to really come together. And I think it's good because in the time that we took to get it started, the neighborhood had a say. The neighborhood was part of the discussion. The neighborhood is going to see benefits from it, and we don't want everybody on Hazelwood Green alone. We want them in the neighborhood. And you're starting to see restaurants and shops and things like that popping up, which I think in the long term is going to benefit everybody.
How long have you been on City Council, Councilman Corey?
This is my start of my 11th year. So it goes quick. I tell everybody that. Yeah.
Sounds like you're still enjoying yourself.
I am. It's fun. I tell, not that the bridge is a great example of this, but every day is different and every challenge is different. And I think, having been and seen almost everyone you can imagine, you still get surprised by the job each and every day. So, I look at it as an opportunity to serve people, help people as best you can. And, working with everybody from administration to council members, we've achieved a lot, but obviously there's still more things you look and you're eager to accomplish in the next couple of years.
How have you and your family been coping with COVID?
My mom has it, but she's been good. She had all the shots, so she's resting at home. My wife had a baby a couple months ago through COVID, so her and I, it's been great because we get to bond with the baby. Having Zoom as a reality now, it allows you to spend more quality time at home, which I think is great, especially with an infant. So, baby Molly is doing well. We've been getting actually 6.5 hours of sleep. So that's pretty good from when we first started. So we're figuring something out. Yeah.
Baby Molly, that's beautiful. Named after anybody in particular?
So the name is actually Margaret June, but we call her Molly. Margaret is both great grandparents on each side, and then June is on my wife's mom's side. So turns out this is now on my wife's side of the family. This is their 9th grandchild. This is the first granddaughter. So she is probably going to be above spoiled, being the only girl out of 8 nephews, and she's the only niece or granddaughter at this point. So,
But this is you're and your wife's first.
this is our first, yeah. But
So-
her family, they have 8 nephews and now, or 8 grandsons. This is their first granddaughter. So
you're a new
everybody's
father.
excited about the girl. Yeah.
How is it being a new father? Scared to death, or are you just getting the hang of it?
You know what? I think I always wanted to have kids. I'm always, I've had so many cousins and nieces through the years. It's obviously an adjustment. It's not easy. But if you work together, everybody figures it out. And, family's always helpful, and friends want to see the baby and help out. So it's been good. It's been fun.
So you're busy as heck with items in the city. Did you still get time to engage in any hobbies or do any reading or something that might distract you from all this work?
Yeah, I'll have to ask you. We're running out of Netflix shows, so I'm going to need something here. They need to update Netflix, because I've seen them all late at night. But I think, I also, coach the golf team at Central Catholic, and that's fun. It's still stressful because, you're coaching high school kids, and, that's a whole other world. But sneaking out to play golf with my wife every once in a while is always fun. But yeah, that's my other hobby is coaching. And, it's a good distraction. It gets you 3 hours away from your real work at council, and it's a good relief.
Are you and your wife playing one another, and how's that work out?
Yeah, we do play. She finally beat me on a hole last year, so that was pretty good. She's getting better. She shot, what did she shoot? I think she shot an 89 last year, so she's getting there. Yeah.
Every once in a while on the city channel, they do something that you probably know about called Throwback Thursday. And I'll see your father being inaugurated as mayor and making a speech. And it's just great to see him and hear his voice. I'm sure he's sort of with you as you wander the halls of the city county building.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I mean, obviously, when I sit in chambers, and I haven't been there in a while with COVID and everything, but, his name's on the wall, and, people constantly come up and say, oh, I saw your dad here, or he gave me my first job at Roy Rogers. And, you and him, you guys were on the show multiple times on your shows. But I think it's always good to hear that. I think the more stories you hear, the better off, you are, because you're like, oh, wow, he did so much. And, you're never going to live up to that. I understand that. But I think it's great that so many people had seen him in so many places. And we still wonder, how did he get to every place? And how did he, buy so many kids ice cream over the years? And it's something that we look back and we remember, and it's a good thing. It doesn't hurt to hear a story. Yeah.
Yeah, the last time we spoke, you reminded me I first met you when you were like 10, and I thought, man, I'm old. I am really old.
Well, I mean, I didn't get much taller since then, so I probably, may got a little facial hair, but not that much. So yeah, it's you have been around, you've seen it all. That's a good thing. It's one good resource to have, you in the city. You got expertise in a lot of areas. Yeah.
Well, yeah, your dad was, I don't want to dwell on this, but he was such a character. It was just, you instantly started smiling if you saw him walking down the street and he came up to shake your hand. He was just such a gregarious guy with so much personality.
That's why you got to love this business. I mean, it's a people business. He was in the restaurants for so many years and learned so much from Lou Papin. And that's what we do this for. I mean, you have to be open to the people. You got to be out there. You got to talk to them, because, they're your eyes and ears. Now, sometimes they don't always love the decision that you make, but you got to factor everybody in before you make that decision. And, I think people know that you're genuine about them and that you care about them and you're trying to do the right thing for the city. And that's how he always took it. Never said a bad word about anybody. And you don't get anywhere by doing that kind of stuff. If you work together, you accomplish more for everybody else.
So it sounds like you'd recommend a career in government service for any young people that might be watching this and wondering what to do with their lives.
Yeah, come on down. We have interns all the time. I will say, it's a tough job. I worked for Congressman Doyle before I ran for office. It's not easy. There, could be very long hours. There's, a lot of constituent calls, and, if you put your hat on and you try your best, that's all you can do. But it's also really fulfilling when you see projects being done, people getting support, people getting jobs, things like that really keep you going and your momentum going when you're doing that.
And what did you do for Congressman Doyle?
I was actually his community development representative. So I went to a number of boroughs and municipalities that he represented, including the city, talking to him about federal funds that were coming in and still doing a lot of constituent calls. That was interesting. I think my first month on there, they had FEMA was under my jurisdiction of community development. We had a flood in Millville. So I remember being out there in the streets, seeing what was going on. And you get an appreciation for what everybody's doing when you walk the streets and see people. A lot of the times if you sit behind the desk, you can't appreciate what somebody's talking about. We were in an event yesterday before the Super Bowl. It was a pepperoni roll hoagie drive. And so I went, bought a couple hoagies, some pepperoni rolls, but somebody said, can you please drive down the street and see this pothole? It's like, okay, you've probably seen a million potholes in your life, but by going there, you now have an understanding what that resident is talking about. And it's a really bad pothole. So, you can't just imagine, oh, there's a pothole in the street. Well, where is it in the street? And I like that aspect of the job is, residents call, it's better to take a look than try for them to explain something to you. Go out, see it for yourself, get an understanding of what's going on.
Is there better material available to fill potholes that last longer these days? Have they improved that sort of stuff?
I think they have pothole machines in some cities that we've looked into. It's basically taking the resource or the excess gravel that's come up, throw it into a sort of a machine, and then it plants it right back down. So it's kind of its own pothole machine that we've looked into. I mean, we put requests in and things like that, but something different would help. But we have so many potholes, unfortunately, you're going to need a lot of these machines. But our workers are out there doing their best, trying to get to them as quick as they can. And, whether you can get them in patches every once in a while when it's 40 something degrees, but more than likely, spring is when you do the real blitz on potholes.
And do salt boxes still exist in some locations, or is that a thing of the past and the DPW is the only one distributing the salt?
Yeah, there are a couple random spots, but more than likely, if you have one, it's because of an old requirement or something. But we don't do that as much as we used to. But yeah, salt's being put out there by DPW when they go and plow the streets and try to get ahead of it and salt the streets before the snow comes.
And the Peduto administration on its way out was talking about they felt having helped professionalize city services and workers over the years. Would you agree with that analysis? And is it more professional than it was like when you got in 11 years ago?
Is it more professional? Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting more and more people right out of college interested. I think you're getting a lot more, I wouldn't say not necessarily college, but I think you're getting more policy people interested in government. When you're talking about the environment, and when you're talking about infrastructure and things like that, you have more people that are interested in the policy aspect of it that are starting to get jobs in administration and council and things like that. Legislative workers, things like that we're seeing on the city side. Now, obviously, we're always open to public works and fire and EMS and police. Those are the people that run the city, and they do an amazing job. I think when you're seeing within the government side, you're seeing a lot more people interested in policies and research than we did before.
All right, well, that should do it. Are there any final words you'd like for the viewers of the City Channel?
No, thank you for watching. And, if anybody needs anything within district, reach out to our office. Glad to help. And, look forward to seeing people in the streets of Pittsburgh.
Councilman Corey O'Connor, we look forward to running into you in the streets of Pittsburgh. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
And that is it for this episode of City Talk. We will see you next time.